first Toy Story was made in around 5 years. So what I'm building is a way for that time to be compressed, a software where you can create these things like a MacBook, you can create these things like shoes really fast and really easily. AI native design software, cursor for Blender, there's no reason to think about why you could fail. I think if you don't have like a possibility of failure in your mind, the only thing left is success.
Hey folks, we're thrilled to have Clarence Keith, the founder and CEO of Nalana, with us for this episode today. Nalana is building a agentic interface for Blender. Think of cursor, but for 3D. The host today will be me, Lucas, and Philip.
For listeners who may be unfamiliar with us, we are the Student Realm podcast featuring student founders and early stage founders and also investors willing to back the youngest and smartest minds. And we hope that we can find them in the earliest stage and document their journey to their success.
We would like to thank Frontier Tower for this space. Frontier Tower is a 16th-floor hub for Frontier builders to build, ship, and scale, and a vibrant community for the innovators together. If you're a founder or investor, definitely pay a visit and check out their events. Hello, folks. It was a pleasure to have our guest today, Clarence Keith, with us. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode of 18VC Recording. Would you mind briefly introducing yourself to our audience about who you are and what you're building?
Yeah, I'm Clarence Keith, founder of Nalana. It's an AI native design software. And it's essentially just allowing for anyone to create 3D and even professionals to create 3D faster.
Oh, that's straightforward. We're not going to cut that out. That's his style.
I bet,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing before Nalana and what leads you into this path?
What I was doing before Nalana, I was creating a lot. I've always been just creating stuff, right?
Yeah.
Directly before Nalana was a lot of artistic work.
Right.
I don't know if I've shown you any of the masks or shoes or statues that I've made, but I was doing a lot of projects like that. And the reason why I was doing that is just because, you know, I have this long-term vision for myself, and that is creating at like the highest level. And the highest level for me is, you know, my products touch people on a global scale, right? It's touching people all the way in Taiwan or Russia or anything like that. Right, whether it's my statues or my shoes or even the experiences that I create, it's all those things globally. And so that's essentially like a lot of the things that I was doing beforehand. Like I could talk about school and all that, but like I don't really care about any of that for that's been most of the things that I've been doing for a long time. Even before the product, even before the statues and the masks and shoes and everything, it was, I believe it was like music videos in Blender. And before that it was clothes. Actually, clothes were like a through line between all of those different eras, if you want to say. I'll actually say chapters, actually. But yeah, it was music videos, clothes, shoes. I've just been like creating different stuff. Or different things over time. Like it's never really been a time where I haven't been doing something or creating or building.
It's creative is embedded in part of your genes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you yourself is an avid user for many years of Blender, right?
Yeah.
And then you also taught like over 100 students how to use it.
Yeah.
And throughout your time, you also helped Honda create like vehicles, parts, right? And then also build the industrial 3D footwear design using Blender, right? Was there a moment that you realized that, guys, we gotta figure out, reinvent a way for people to use Blender?
I think at the time, right, like right before I actually started creating Nalana, I was building a bunch of different just tools in different platforms, especially with like things like Cloud Code came out. I think it was actually before Cloud Code, but before different things like LLMs came out, right? I had a good fundamental knowledge of how like to code, but obviously that just took it to another level. And so at the time I was just building a bunch of different like products and tools that I would either use on my own day-to-day work, or I built one, me and my girlfriend, we play Monopoly Deal. It's like his version of Monopoly with playing cards and stuff. And I just made a game for us to play online monopoly deal because she like had to go back to her home country for the summer, and so we could still play it. That's like the type of stuff that I would be making.
Wow.
But then, as I continued to use Blender, I saw that there was rather I knew that there was a Python console within Blender itself, and I was like, I'm seeing all of these integrations and tools and stuff within a lot of different softwares. I think there was some stuff in Photoshop, there was some stuff in Illustrator, but there wasn't anything really good in the 3D space. So I'm just like, interesting. LLMs are really good at coding Python.
Yeah.
So why is it nothing within
like that,
right? And so I really just started exploring it, and there wasn't really a moment where I was like, this has to be easier, but I think it continued because I have all of these years within Blender and years within 3D space. Like you said, I was doing like Honda projects, I was making shoes, I was doing all these different things. So I've already lived the life of a 3D artist and 3D designer in a multitude of ways. So it kind of just made sense that seeing this integration and knowing my experience, I kind of already know how this could work. And then even using tools like Cursor, knowing the exact way that this could take over and how this could really change the entire field itself. Because I think Cursor was one of the first softwares to really make coding easier for a lot of people.
Right.
And I think Nalana will be the first software to do that as well for 3D. Not just 3D, but just creation as a whole, because 3D encompasses a lot of different areas. But I think at the same time, knowing that and stemming from my just general imagination and creativity made me understand exactly the vision that I have for this and where it could go and the steps to get there.
I also want to take a little bit of time to get deeper into experience teaching a lot of students about use of Blender, right? Is there any pattern you observe from seeing how a lot of beginners of Blender struggle to use the application?
It's like beginners especially, one, get intimidated because for me, and I'm sure anybody else using any platform they're super familiar with, it doesn't feel intimidating from them because they're very used to the platform. They've already learned everything. They know what buttons do what. Lo and behold, they might still be learning some stuff, but it's not as intimidating as if somebody who's jumping into it, seeing the sheer capabilities, or rather sheer amount of panels and buttons and everything that you can click. And it's just like, what am I looking at? Like if you look up the Blender UI, or even something like a Fusion 360, right? There's just so much you can do. So that's one thing. It's intimidation. The second thing is they kind of know what they want to do, whether it's from their own class project or they just have their own imagination. So they have ideas for what they want to create. But it's like a very strong and oftentimes a very huge gap between their idea and the thing that they want to create. And obviously that was like me too. At a certain point, before I even knew Blender, before I knew all of these different platforms, I had ideas for what I wanted, but then to do so, I very much so underestimated how much like
hard it would be.
It'd be like insanely hard. But regardless, like that gap is apparent for a lot of beginners, and that's one of the things I think Nalana can and honestly will help with, because it almost like literally eliminates that gap.
And you make it very simple with the voice interface, right?
Yeah.
You can just speak out loud and Nalana's gonna handle the rest.
The thing with the voice interface, I think it was before like things like Whisper Flow and things like I think Willow is another company that does it as well. Like those are the companies that do the speech to text really well. But I think I had that idea for speech to 3D because when you're in a creative process, especially if you're like working with other people in a creative process, you're doing a lot of talking and you're doing a lot of gesturing, drawing, sketching, anything like that. And I think the reason why I have the vision for speech, but not only speech, but gesture and vision, because it will align with that creative process, right? As you're talking about something, then it starts to get created in the platform as you're speaking it. And then if it's getting created wrong, obviously, if I talk about an idea, you and I both might be visualizing two different things.
Right.
So if it's getting created and you're liking it, but it's not actually what I'm talking about, I'm like, okay, no, move it over here. Actually, this is what I'm talking about. And then it's getting picked up on in the software and getting created as you're talking. So yeah, the speech to Blender, or really just, that's what it was called actually, like a long time ago. But speech to 3D, I think is literally just fundamental to how people will be creating. I don't know how long from now. But yeah, I think it is fundamental to how people will be creating. And I think you can see it with the things like Whisperflow and Willow.
It's the shortest distance from your imagination inside your heart to the reality.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you actually speak much faster than you can text or type, you know?
Yeah. You also talked about in our last conversation that you transferred twice. First from Emory to USC, and then from Marshall to IIA, right? Tell us our audience about it. Like, what was the drive?
I left Emory because I think at the time Emory did not have what I wanted. Emory is an amazing school, right? Like if you're, from what I know mainly, if you're going down a pre-med path or just going into the medical school is phenomenal. Business school, I don't know how much, but teach their own. But Emory just didn't have the stuff that I wanted for myself, and USC did. And at the time, I do think there is a lot of, everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I say that because there was a program that reached out to me while I was at Emory and was like, hey, we know you didn't get in like during the regular undergrad process, but you can still transfer. I was like, oh, interesting. Tell me more, And so they worked with me to transfer, do all the essays and stuff again before GPT, so you had to write them all. Wow. But yeah, they worked with me, and then I got into USC, transferred, and I think the year after I got into USC, that program got cut. Like literally was gone. But my thing is, like, I say everything happens for a reason because it was the year after I got in. One year later, I probably wouldn't be at USC. I probably would still be at Emory. But I think going to USC Marshall, that's where I transferred in, and still not feeling like it had what I wanted, being in all of the business classes, I think it was a lot of intro, like marketing, accounting. I'm a smart guy, so accounting and finance was like coming to me pretty good. All of the classes were coming to me pretty good, but it still just didn't have what I wanted. Like I would be in class making my music videos or making the shoes or making all these different products while being in class for not accounting. I think statistics was a class, business statistics. And I still didn't have what I wanted. So when I got into USC, that's when I learned about IYA. And then I went to go tour it. I went to go talk to people there, and I'm like, oh no, this is it. Like this has everything that I really want in a school. So then I transferred to IYA. Apparently it's like pretty hard to transfer to IYA.
It is.
I didn't know that at the time. And I think that's another thing I'd be talking, I'd be going on rants. Not rants, but long monologues, let's say. So I'm about to jump from it to a different point. I've heard a lot of people say or talk about like percentages of people who apply to transfer into IYA, but I don't usually think about like percentages and everything.
What do you think about it?
I kind of think it's I don't think it's stupid to think about percentages, but I think you really just shouldn't think about them, to be honest, because I think a percentage here in like Harvard, I think it's like a 2% to get into undergrad. Yeah. That shouldn't stop you from applying though, like whatsoever. It should never stop you from applying. And my thing is, the way that I would think about it is, if it's a 2% acceptance rate into Harvard, then you should be part of the 2%. Who cares about it? 98% of people don't get accepted. You should just be a part of the 2%. Yeah. And even something like, I think they say like 1% of startups actually succeed or go to unicorn status, or like 2% of YC
You should be
companies.
the 1%.
You should be the 1%. Focus on being the 1% and doing what you need to do to succeed, rather than
get daunted away.
Get daunted away. And so that's kind of how I think about it. And I think that's kind of just me. I don't think, even if I heard that it was a super low chance of getting into IOA that I would have done it any differently. But nonetheless, I think you got to protect your mindset when it comes to a lot of things that you do. And percentages is just one aspect of it. So I'm like, bro, I don't care about no percentages. Like, what? What are we talking percentages? What?
This man's just all locked in.
Yeah,
So
bro,
you don't even
like
care about anything else.
literally
right?
don't, like, there's no reason to think about why you could fail.
Well, that's the founder mindset we all.
You got to think about why you could succeed,
Yeah,
why
exactly.
you could win.
Exactly.
There's no, and even that might be a little contradictory because what I just said was I didn't even know about the possibility of failure, but it's also like, I think if you don't have like a possibility of failure in your mind, the only thing left is success. I know you like that.
Yeah, you definitely love that.
Yeah, the only thing left is success, like actually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that's definitely how I think on a day-to-day basis. I remember one time, this was like a few months ago, I was on a call with an incubator based out here.
Right.
And they asked me about what is, like, if Nalana were to fail, what would be the reason why it could fail? And I understand why they asked that, because yes, it's good to understand that, if you don't capture enough distribution, then it might be harder for you to succeed, or rather it could point towards failure. Another point that I think is, like, even if that were to happen for somebody else, that's never a point where you can deem yourself failure, right? I think you have to have your own metric of success and your own metric of failing, because I think this is a good analogy. I think Google, right before Google was Google, there was a ton of competitors, some of them doing better than Google at the time. Yeah. Yahoo was bigger than Google.
Yes.
And I remember, I think it was like one thing about Google's search ranking, or however their algorithm was, that really pushed them above all the competitors. And then Yahoo tried to buy them out, but then they kept going. And then, I mean, I don't use Yahoo, right? But it's like something like that, right? Where you can look at all of these different factors that might point towards failure, but that doesn't mean you will fail, right? You can still succeed. Even if there's so much competition, even if there's all these different things that might be working against you, which in reality might not even be. It's just like doing whatever you need to do to succeed.
You talk about, you encourage people to have their own approach and metric of success and failure.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you define success? What does success look like in your eyes?
For me, for Nalana, it's two things, I think. It might be three. But one, it is a metric boatload of people using this product, benefiting from it. I think two, it is being able to see the influence of a product like this change the way how people design and create, right? Because if I was building Cursor, then Cursor, my success with that, like, to elaborate on what I mean by the influence and stuff, my success rate would be people don't do any manual coding anymore. They just talk to the platform and then it just does all the coding for them. You could probably ask a lot of engineers right now, they don't do no manual Python scripting and anything like that.
They don't.
So that could be like a metric, that is like a metric of success for me when it comes to like 3D design and just 3D creation in Nalana. I think the third aspect obviously is like a exit and everything, or even acquisition.
Right.
Those are the same thing? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know about an IPO, but I definitely think like exit or acquisition, because I have other goals.
Yes.
Right? I have a lot of goals in life. I have a lot of things that I will accomplish. And the thing is with Nalana is like building that up to a point to get acquired. I will still use the product afterwards in my creative work, in my day-to-day just creating stuff. So those two, I might have said three, I don't know. Those areas are in which I deem a success for myself. And that's something I just had to to myself about. I can't really get that from anybody else saying, I want to raise this amount of money. Raising don't really mean anything until you are either like you start making money or you exit, and you, at least to me, until you exit or you IPO or something like that. So I'm not like, my metric of success isn't really like raising or even getting to like a Series B or anything like that. It's more or less just based off of conversation I have with myself about what I want.
Sure, and I think you described Nalana as a cursor for blenders.
Yeah.
I think people can get a pretty clear idea of from the first sight of that description.
Yeah.
Is it what you want to emphasize is that you want to, as you just mentioned, just change the way people who designing 3D assets, for example, basically they don't need to do any manual work anymore.
Yeah, I think the reason I say cursor for Blender is so people can easily understand it. Like AI native design software, there's a bunch of different things wrapped up in there, but cursor for Blender is so much simpler, especially for people that know cursor and investors that know cursor and the success that it had. And I'm like, okay, cursor for Blender. You know?
Yeah.
For people maybe who are not familiar with designing and not familiar with cursor, how would you introduce that to them?
People who are not
like
familiar with design. Say again?
Like a toddler.
Yeah, a toddler. Shoot. All right, well, so how would you explain it simply? Everything around us is like, has to be created in some way. The MacBooks you guys have, these microphones, the shoes that we're wearing, everything has to be created. Most of the times it's made in a software beforehand where you can make a lot of versions of it. You can test it out, see how it might look in real life. But the thing is with that, it takes a lot of time. And so what I'm building is a software where you can create these things like a MacBook, you can create these things like shoes really fast and really easily. The example that I might give for a lot of people is Toy Story, because Toy Story was made, the first Toy Story was made in around 5 years. And I know there was this movie called Flow, I think. It was like a cat movie or something. It recently won a, Oscar? I think that's the award for movies. But it was made entirely in Blender. And that still took a very long time. And part of that time is the animating, the rigging, the modeling. Forget everything else about like financing and everything like that. The actual creation process took a very long time. So what I'm building is a way for that time to be compressed, and for people like, I'm assuming you two, who might not have ever touched a software to create something, can do it easily. The same way, I actually don't want to say, I'll bring up cursor in this example, but yeah, it's essentially just making it so that you can create it. The big boys can still create, but much faster. And it's just going to change the way that we create.
Folks, if you have kids at home, definitely let us know if your kids understand what Clarence is saying.
Yeah, maybe not. I said a lot in that supposedly toddler explanation, but we'll see. I'll get better at that.
And I do remember you mentioned like Nalana is not like a plugin into the Blender software, but you build your own software. Yeah. Why was that? What's the rationale behind that decision of making your own instead of a plugin? Is that easier to build a plugin?
Oh, it's so much easier to build a plugin, but you can't really I don't think you can really make a profitable, rather a venture scaled business off of a plugin. Maybe you could, maybe somebody would do it, prove me wrong, but at least for what I see, you can't really do that. And the reason why is because I want to also collect data from, not directly from people, but in terms of how people are using my platform, and the best way to do so is to have my own software, because then I can control a lot of different things about what type of data is collected, how that can improve my pipeline on the back end. You can do so much with data. So that's the reason why I'm choosing to build my own platform rather than a plugin into something that's already established.
So about Nalana, who's feeling the problem you're trying to solve most acutely today?
Right now, it's industrial designers and footwear designers. I'm mainly tackling industrial designers first though, because these are the people that experience this workflow on a day-to-day basis, and they've also tried to experiment with the tools that these different companies like Meshi or Tripo create right now.
Right.
But they can't necessarily use it in their workflow because of a slew of different reasons. I've been testing that in my own workflow before Nalana, and I can't use them for the same reasons. But industrial designers are first. I actually tested out an architectural visualization, that entire just ICP. But I saw that they didn't have an immediate use case for Nalana. So then I just pivoted, tested out another one, and industrial designers, which I kind of knew about, works out. They showed interest. We're in conversations about, pilots and partnerships and everything. So I'm just going with that as an immediate go-to-market.
Yeah, but I think for architecture, for architects, there are also startups out there that are trying to make innovative solutions about, for example, like agentic interface for CAD and BIM, something like that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know a few of them, but yeah, they're in their own aspects.
Yeah. What does a bad day look like for industrial designers?
What does what look like?
What does a bad day look
bad
like
day.
for industrial designer before they start using a product, before the law ever exists?
So for industrial designers, one of the actual people that I've been talking to, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the 3D modeling process is literally it just takes a long time, right? It might take anywhere to model one product a few days. If you're doing a lot of products, weeks. If you're making something from scratch that hasn't been made already, that can be weeks to months. And on a day-to-day basis, it's just like a repetitive practice of going into the software, modeling it out, exporting, bringing it into different softwares for different reasons. And the one specific workflow that I'll actually bring up right now is, let's say, like a vacuum.
A vacuum.
Yeah, like if you're modeling out a vacuum, there's so many intricate parts about a vacuum, which, depending on the use case, you wouldn't need. But for industrial designers, you have to model out almost all the aspects of it. And depending on the client, you might need to model out even like something small, like a what is it called, the dustbin collector or something.
Okay.
And then it's also like, if this is proportional, if this is accurate representation of the actual product, even though they don't have it in front of them. There's a lot of different things that can go into the factor or into the workflow of an industrial designer. And then even still, like the iterative process of sending it off, getting feedback, and then changing it, that might take anywhere between a quick change to another few days, depending on, it's just a lot of different moving factors. But the one consistent is just that the modeling process takes a very long time.
Okay, so does Nalana provide, I would say, different value add for beginners and advanced industrial designers?
For beginners, I'm not necessarily focusing on beginners right now.
Oh, so it's just pro.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
pro, and there's a reason why. Beginners, they could use it. They could use it right now, and they'll still get the value because, it's a professional product, but the fundamental of what it is, it's allowing you to create the things that you want to, right? I'm not designing Nalana specifically for an industrial use case, right? It has to be able to grow out into other verticals.
Absolutely.
So then the beginners will still be able to benefit from that. And what I'm also doing is making the experience, like I said, one thing about the beginners is that it's very intimidating, and there's a big gap, right?
Yeah.
The gap is already solved with them having this solution to, create their models already, or create whatever scene they want. The intimidation that comes from an entirely different just process and experience of using the platform, right? That goes into onboarding, that goes into whatever's on the website, that goes into the actual downloading of the platform, that goes into the first thing you see when you open the platform, right? That goes into all these different aspects, which I don't think are really considered in a lot of the platforms that I've used in my own experience and even heard from them. So that is a big thing for me right now, and just it will be continuously. I think another thing, let me know if I just keep jumping to different topics as well.
It's fine.
Because but yeah, another thing is trust. I think trust is a big aspect with this as well, because at the end of the day, like 3D is thought of as an artistic practice, and it's a very touchy conversation with artistic practices and artificial intelligence. And I think trust is going to have to be a big thing for Nalana, because it's not like I'm taking anybody's workflows, all right? It's not like I'm taking anybody's assets or generating it from scratch.
Right.
And so that really means anything that you create, anything that Philip creates, anything that I create is literally just based off of ourselves. It's not based off of anybody else's work.
Are you actually getting any pushbacks from more traditional or old school design partners, architects?
Older school? Not, I mean, from the people I've talked to, no. And that's because, I mean, they're adapting. Right? They know that the tools are coming out right now.
Yeah.
And they are adapting to this process. The people that I have gotten feedback from and pushback are the artists. And that's the whole reason why I say it has to be like very trustworthy, because this was like a few months ago. This isn't my strategy now, but a few months ago when I was reaching out and doing my content strategy for like almost like B2C or prosumer, as some people call it, there was just a lot of backlash.
Oh. Because
it's thought that, you know, it's going to be taking away people's jobs, or it's going to be stealing from artists and their work and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is, even tools like Cursor, right? I don't think Cursor has really caused people to lose their jobs for real.
No.
But it is just like a general fear that could happen, right? And the reason why I'm building Nalana in the way it is so it like empowers the people to be able to raise the bar literally on what they can create. And so that really just raises the bar on what will be created in the world. And then at the same time, it's not taking from people's workflows, or it's not taking from people's artistic practice, right? It's everything is based off of you and whatever you create.
So basically, we've seen a lot of like resistance from artists, especially in either like music or even painting.
Yeah.
Right? They a lot of resistance. They're saying that like basically AI is either stealing their ideas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why would Nalana not be facing the same resistance?
So it has in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now it shouldn't,
because
there's a lot that goes into being trustworthy, and that just takes time, right? So building this relationship with customers and users over time, that's the thing that builds trust, and trust is the thing that, you know, helps with your authenticity, helps with people wanting to use your product as opposed to other people's products, because they feel like, or they might not feel like these products are really taking their artistic process into account, right? I think those are the main aspects as to why Nalana won't really receive a lot of backlash in the future. And just as time goes on, people adopt, people start using these tools more and more, and they get used to them and get more comfortable and realize that, you know, these tools aren't really out to take their jobs or anything.
Are there people like enjoy just the process of creating by their own hands?
Yeah, 100%. There's always going to be those people. Even like now, when it comes to like manufacturing, right? There's people like leather workers, right? People who work at like a Louis Vuitton or something, right?
Oh yeah, luxury.
There's a lot of handmade goods still, but then there's a lot of mass-produced goods at the same time. So I think there's always going to be the person who wants to do it by themselves and do it by hand. I think at the same time, though, it's just going to be a different process, right? Because somebody who does a lot of more mass manufacturing of these goods, they still have to design the process of how it gets made. They have to design the product itself, right, and make it mass manufacturable, right? Because that's an art for them too. For me, especially, like I used to do leather work as well, and it would be all handmade and everything. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it by hand anymore. I would rather have my ideas expressed in the fastest way, right? I do enjoy the practice, and I know people enjoy the practice, but at a certain point, it'll get to a point where, a lot of people like to vibe code. A lot of people like to do these, work in different ways.
Right.
And at some point, it'll be a lot of people still think of the Nalana process as like a manual type of process, because you still are incorporating all of your ideas. You still are, doing all the prompting. You still are doing everything according to your workflow, but it'll just be a different way to work.
Can you basically unbox the magic behind Nalana? What a user sees is basically you give a description of your ideas, and then it come up with a finished design of a 3D asset.
Yeah.
What's actually happening behind the scene? How do you make that happen? Do you use, for example, a 3D generation model to do that, or do you kind of build them up like a human designer would do, like piece by piece, and then you combine them together into a finished product?
Yeah.
How was that magic behind?
So one of the things I've seen when companies like Meshi or Tripo 3D is that they generating from almost like image generators, right? They start from your prompt, and then I believe they go from a noise field or a point cloud or anything, and then slowly build out your model, almost like you're starting with a block of like stone, and then you're slowly carving away at it until it gets to that model. And that's not necessarily the process that I go through. What we do is just going through like an iterative process of hand creating that model, and then seeing if it adheres to the prompt that you wanted, and if it doesn't, go redo it again, and until you get to the type of fidelity that you wanted in the first place.
I do remember you mentioned there was a Python function in Blender.
Yeah.
Is what you're doing kind of basically building up in Blender can be finished by writing codes, right?
Say again?
Is it basically building up the model? You can do it like in a user interface, where you can drag this maybe a rectangle thing or a square block, but you can also do it by just writing codes.
Yeah.
And then do you finish that do you automate that process by basically so basically you're translating human input natural language into a code, and it will just
run it behind the scene.
Yeah, behind the scene, and the front end it looks like a 3D.
So what I want to do is essentially make Nalana just like orchestrate the software, right? As a person would, right? So whether that's adding a cube and then doing whatever else you do with that cube, right? That's the kind of the process that I want to take Nalana with, and that is almost like different to generating code and generating models from scratch in that same way.
Okay. Interesting. And then I think Lucas can go with the competitive landscape.
Yeah, I mean, well, where does your moat actually come from?
The moat comes from like the data that I said before, and that's really like the biggest aspect of it, right? I think if we were to do the build out Nalana in any different way other than having like our own platform, we wouldn't be able to have as strong data. And the data is the thing that makes it profitable. The data is the thing that makes it defensible. The data is everything is regarding that data, because it also helps us improve our pipeline on the back end. It helps us, I don't want to say personalize, but helps us learn the person and their workflow. And even if it's at a big company, then learn the design language, learn all of these different aspects about how they work, and adhere whatever's being made to them.
And you also talk about Nalana emphasize editable geometry. Why does the editability matter so much for series builders?
I think it matters initially because people like these industrial designers, they still have a lot of skills. Like I still have a lot of skills within 3D, and when you're generating this model, something might not be as something small might not be as how you perfectly envisioned it. And depending on what it is, you could still go in there and just make a quick change, right? That might take a second, literally like 2 seconds. But then something that's a bigger change that takes a while, that's something that should honestly be just regenerated with a prompt. But the thing is with something like Meshi or Tripo or anything, mainly Meshi, I'm gonna say, because they generate the models and you export it into your software, but you can't really easily edit a small part about it. Right, you might be able to reprompt it. You might be able to change up the image that you generated it from.
I mean, reprompting is like going through like a blind box and
Reprompting is
hoping that you get what you want,
right? But it's just that process of being able to tweak the things, and then at the same time, if it's not exactly to your standards or like a company standards or what they need in their products, then doing that within a platform that isn't built to do that, you wouldn't really, or rather it'd take a longer time to try to take that model and conform it to your standards rather than taking a model that was already built to your standards and then tweaking just something very small about it.
Makes sense.
And we have been seeing different companies, I think they're doing something that have overlap with what you're doing. Like we met people who are doing AI game engines.
Yeah.
Basically, they also need to handle the process of generating 3D game assets. And also further down the line, there was this famous company called Word Labs. They're generating a 3D interactable world. And then we also met people, as mentioned before, people doing AI design for CADs, basically for architectural designs. And do you see you guys will maybe just just get into doing similar things at the end of the day? And would these people be kind of your competitors?
I think Nalana, I don't know their plans. I know a few companies within this space. I know a few competitors. Talk to them myself. I don't know their long-term plans with this. They definitely don't have the same visions that I do. So I think at some point, maybe early on, it might be like a pretty good fight. I'm not even gonna say a pretty good fight, actually. Let me not say that.
I think you're anticipating that pretty good fight.
I think early on, it is, I'm gonna say what you said. I think early on, there might be, or like we might cross paths a little bit, but especially in the long game, think of it like Google, right? Because, or even Apple. I'm gonna say Google. So Google had a lot of competitors when they started, but then skyrocketed even past like the biggest companies at the time, Yahoo. Apple, I don't know if it was Dell or HP, but it was just some other Windows based company. And Apple almost came in as like the consumer version of it, or really made it like cool to use a computer and made it such an easier experience for people to use a home computer and just home products in general, iPad, iPod, everything like that. I think over time, there is differentiation now. Over time, it'll be such a different landscape in the fact that I'm gonna sum it up and say, given time, Nalana will probably be one of the only companies within the 3D space. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because of how I'm building it right now and just the fundamental nature of it.
And I think, do you think there is a value of focusing on a specific vertical? For example, people doing architecture, 3D modeling, people doing gaming asset modeling.
Yeah, you gotta enter.
Or a general one. Is there?
You gotta enter the market somehow, right? I think I understand what people say when they say if you try to do everything great, you'll probably do nothing great. I kind of disagree with that at the same time, but nonetheless, I do understand once you establish a little bit of footing in your market, then it gives you ability to step in another place, and then another, and then another, and then another. But I think the way that I'm doing it is I am taking everything I get from this initial vertical of industrial designers, and obviously I'm using them to, develop the product and get it better and better. But I also understand that they're not going to be the only people using it. So it has to be able to serve other people at some point.
So after the V1 launch, I'm curious, have you received any feedback that you used to improve your version 2?
The first thing is, when V1 came out.
It's a couple months ago?
Yeah, it was a couple months ago. Where was the state of Nalana at the time? I think Nalana looked like completely different. It felt completely different. And I think one of the things that some of the design partners have told me is that one, images are a huge part. They have their own custom images, custom sketches, everything like that. So quickly had to add in some way to just drag and drop your images in there and even reference it as it's modeling.
Right.
I think the next thing was I felt it at the time, but when Nalana's like working in the background, it might take a second to show the user any it took a second to show the user any progress, right?
Okay.
Because some of them got confused as to if it was actually doing something, right? That's an immediate change.
So there wasn't real-time feedback?
There was real-time feedback, but not enough.
Okay.
And not the right kind of real-time feedback, right? Because you could send it a prompt and then you'll see it change, you'll see the UI change and everything like that, but there just wasn't. I recently just started working with a girl, her name is Angela Chan. She's very talented UI UX designer. She's also a cognitive science as well. So I think that's been a big help in even just working with her. And what we recently worked together on is, I called it like you're designing the weight, right? In the experience of putting in your prompt or saying whatever you want, and then everything else that happens after that until the first change happens in the viewport. And that was birthed because of all the user testing, all the design partners that I've talked to, and it was like a recurring theme of, they didn't say this explicitly, but they were just like, they sent it, waited like 5 seconds to then it said, is it working? Right? Just that simple question enough told me that, okay, something needs to change. And so we've been working to redesign that entire wait period. Within the first X amount of seconds after you send in your prompt, what will happen? Why will it happen? And how does the user feel after this, right? And then how does this actually play into, this is really great because she's cognitive science, because how does it play into the psychology of how people feel when they're waiting on something to load or something to happen, right?
Are you actually able to show a user a short description of like the process step you took, like like the deep thinking mode of GPT? There's a expandable sidebar thing when you click it and you can see its logic flow, right?
Yeah, I think that's really good. That's something else we've incorporated as well, but I think it goes a little deeper than that, because GPT and Claude and everything like that, those are fundamentally text-based.
Right.
This isn't text-based. So you can do so much more when it comes to what this wait period could look like, or what just the experience of using this product could look like, right? You could have like pre-visualizations of what your model could look like immediately after the prompt goes in. You could have, as you're talking, it's almost just like, this is like blob or ray of light or something, just something almost as if you're talking to like a god at that point. And then as you're talking to it, it gives you exactly what you want. Or you're like seeing that it's cooking to give you exactly what you want, right? So it's a lot of different directions you could take it.
I gotta sign up. You need to sign me up on the wait list, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of different directions you can take it. So I'm very excited about how we can take it and how people will feel about it. Because I think one of the biggest things with Nalana is like, I want people to feel like they can do anything with this and they can create anything with this. Because for me, I know I can create anything and I can do anything. And having people to feel that they can do anything will lead them to do anything they want to and create anything they want. Right? There's a lot of startups right now. I know there's one startup at Iovine that came out of it. Mark Engineering. They make like an AI bookmark.
Oh, Mark, right?
Yeah, Mark. And I don't know if they had any like 3D modeling or even CAD experience before. But nonetheless, like if somebody else wanted to make a product like that, I know one person, they want to make actually no, my girlfriend, she has an idea for, I'm just not going to share the entire idea, but something with like credit cards. But she doesn't have any CAD experience.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, that could be a blocker. And yes, you can go get somebody else to do it. But if you could do it yourself, faster, save money on doing it too, come on now. Like, what are we talking about?
I wish I had it when I was a child. I think you know, kids are the a period of time where we have the most creativity.
100%, bro.
Yeah.
And you're just talking to it as a kid, and you're,
Yeah.
oh, I want to see what Mars looks like
Right.
on this day.
Right.
With Legos and Batman
Right.
on this thing. Like, bro.
I think
What?
your go-to market should focus on kindergarten.
On kids?
Yeah.
That'd be so interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what kids would actually create with it.
Yeah. And can you share with us what are the pilot partners you're cooperating with right now? Are they more focused on industrial design, as you mentioned before?
Yeah, they're mostly industrial designers right now.
Well, what kind of products are they designing?
One company, they do a lot of different products. They do vacuum, like I said before. A lot of just household goods. A lot of really technical products like a microphone, even MacBooks. They just do a large range of products, so that's really good to test to see if the product can be made. There's this one company, I don't even like know how to describe what they do. I think it's like medical devices, but it's like really beautifully looking and designed medical devices, which
Are these two words can ever exist in the same
I'm like,
sentence?
bro, y'all are
Beautifully designed medical device.
It doesn't make sense, right? But I saw their website. I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I kind of like this, and I tested it to see if how well Nalana would be able to create their products, and it created it really well. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to them.
Yeah.
There's another company I recently just reached out to, and I don't actually know what they create. Like, I can't pinpoint one aspect. Like, it's a lot of installations. It's a lot of a bit of CAD projects, like hard surface goods. It just kind of do a lot of cool stuff, really. One of the things that just came to mind is I used to work at this company called Matt Projects. They are a very cool company. Everybody in there is very hardworking and everything. I have nothing but great things to say about them. When I started working with them, I did a lot of different 3D projects, whether that's like designing out facades for different companies. I don't think I'm still under NDA, so I can talk about it. But designing out a lot of different facades for companies, like marketing videos, even like installations, right? So all of those aspects, I should actually reach out to them, because I already have that warm introduction. But yeah, those are some of the things that the companies people are modeling out.
Yeah, and from that description, I assume you are basically selling to the corporations, selling to the enterprise, instead of directly selling to like consumers or.
Yeah, as of right now, I'm selling to enterprise. I think later on down the road, it'll start with enterprise, then almost like the pro users or the power users, and then just general consumers. And
we will go to some easier topics. We want to like go back to your experience in schools. I assume we met some of the guys who are pitching at the trial demo day, representing your company there. So can you share a little bit more about your experience around the school, about what kind of resources do you reach out to? What of them did help? Do you have any suggestions for some other students?
There's this one girl at the Blackstone Launchpad. Her name is Amaya Shepard. She was drilling me when it came to, I entered New Venture Seed competition, and I went to her for assistance on just like my pitch, the product, everything like that. And I walked in there, pulled out my pitch deck. She was like, "Clarence, this sucks ass." I'm like, "Oh shoot." Like, golly, okay. But nonetheless, yeah, she said this sucked. But then I came back with a better pitch deck. She's like, "Oh yeah, this is good. Okay, now the next thing that investors might look for is X, Y, and Z." So she's a very goated figure. Amaya Shepard at Blackstone Launchpad. IYA has a lot of great resources because a lot of the professors are either founders, they've started their own companies, they've exited, they've done or advised startups as well who exited and everything like that. So even just talking to those professors, right, they just do so many great things. And they're so willing to help, right? It's really just a great thing to be at that school because they have all the professors that that have done like really good experience. They have a lot of the startup level manufacturing, a lot of 3D printers, a lot of like metal work that you can do, woodworking. They even have a computer lab that was donated by NVIDIA, and
yes, they do.
There's like 18 to 20 computer desktops in there with like NVIDIA A6000 GPUs in there. I'm like, y'all just have this that we can use? And it's just things like that which makes it so much easier as a creative and just as a person with a lot of goals to just create the stuff and work towards those goals. I think another thing is
the food? I don't think so.
Oh man. What is it called? A Venture Showcase. IOA Venture Showcase. That's another thing where you could
the annual one, right?
Yeah. It's almost like a pitch at some point, but then they also have like this just venture like walkthrough where you kind of like how Troy Lab's demo was, where you could just walk through and see a bunch of the startups that are just in this area. Then some people had the pitch at the end as well. There's a lot of great resources. The Albert Napoli, he's like a very cool guy. He runs or helps run the New Venture Seed competition. He's very knowledgeable himself too, though. Like he be cracking a lot of jokes and stuff. But like when you get into a one-on-one conversation with him, he'll give you so much game. Like it's crazy. Chris Swain, that's a GOAT. Yeah. What's his name? Who else? Fudge. Oh, Tina Sharkey. Oh, that's a GOAT. Grant Delgado. Oh, that's a GOAT.
This is not an ads. It is an ads. Yes, it's an ads. We should get some endorsement from IOA.
We should get some endorsement from IOA. Tina Sharkey, Davina Walter, freaking Thomas Dodorian.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a GOAT.
Yeah. We're gonna just be aware. We're gonna tag those people in the LinkedIn post. So if they don't respond, we're gonna get you.
You gotta tag them all, dude. It's like IOA is just filled with such goated people. Dang, there's one other person. A few other people. Jose, that's a GOAT. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay. Jose. Renee. Like all of these people, bro, oh my gosh. I already got so many GOATs.
Yeah. And you've been moving here, I suppose, for a couple weeks or 2 months. How do you feel differently from when you were in LA?
There's no real like nightlife here, to be honest. And I've heard a lot of people complain about that.
Wait, there's nightlife in LA?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I've been missing out on those. What?
Nightlife in LA is like it's fire, bro. What you talking about? Yeah, like
I'm just kidding. Okay.
Yeah, but they say it's not really like too much nightlife in San Francisco. I don't really care about it because I really just be going home, going to bed, watching anime or something, you know. Like, and then just getting up and like working. But I think, bro, it's cold as balls out here. Like, it's actually crazy. Somebody said, the coldest winter they've ever experienced was the summer in San Francisco. I'm like, bro, there's no way that I'm walking outside, it's 50 degrees, and go to New York. I just came from New York this past weekend. It was 110 degrees outside. Nightlife is crazy, though, in New York. The people here are cool, though. There is a very big, like, just work culture in San Francisco, which I definitely appreciate, especially being at the stage that I'm at. I don't think I would be able to... I think I would be able to, but I think it would be just a little bit harder to be in Los Angeles right now and being at the stage I'm at to give the work that I need to give to it. So it is very much so different. I do like it though. I like the vibes. I like taking a Lime scooter around the city. It is a vibe. They just did this like Pride parade like 2 weeks ago, and they had this like big light, this like rainbow colored light that was shining down like Market Street. That was so tough. I don't know if they had it in any other city, but hey, they got it here, so it's pretty cool.
And is there something that surprised you as a student founder specifically? Would that be pretty challenging because you need to handle your study and maybe your own projects at the same time?
Surprising? I don't know about surprising, but it definitely is a challenge to be able to balance like schoolwork, and I kind of see why people say I didn't really understand why some people would say student founders are kind of like a little bit more riskier, because I would just think like, okay, well, you just start the company, or you do what you got to do. But really, when you get into it and you got to work on like time management, if you still want to like get good grades in your classes, then you still got to be able to put in the work for your classes. But then also, if you want to start a great company, you got to put a lot of time into that too. So at the time, I didn't really understand it, but then going from like not being in school, or rather being in school and balancing that, but really like giving like 90 Nalana, 10 to school, and then even the 10% difference to doing it 100%, it's like, wow, there's so much more time, there's so much more mental capacity, there's so much more all of these different things that I can put towards Nalana, rather than if I was still founding my company in school,
Would you consider dropping out, or for students who are considering this option?
Oh boy.
Do you have it? Well, what's your take there?
I think I am in a very unique position, very blessed position, because IYA, from my understanding, they definitely help to work with you as a student founder, especially if you're doing something like really good. So I have a very unique position to be able to do so. Though, what I will say is that if push came to shove and I had to decide between dropping out, or rather going to school and working on Nalana full time, I'm picking Nalana 100% of the time, because I just don't know what. I think I will gain a lot more working on Nalana than I will going, especially as like my last year of school. Mm-hmm. I think I would gain a lot more working on Nalana than I would going back to school. Mm-hmm. And I've never really had like a real taste in school, to be honest. Like before I even went to college, I was like, man, if I'm a millionaire before college, bro, I'm not going to college. though I didn't become a millionaire before college, but so that's why I'm here. I never really had that like super big focus on school, though I always kept like good grades and stuff. I never really had too much value put on school. I always have a value on learning though, 100%. Like I always continue to learn, take on new things.
And the network, bro. You just mentioned a long list of names.
Oh yeah, bro. The network is like crazy. I didn't even have that in mind when I was first picking the schools and stuff, but the network is like actually insane. Especially at a school like USC. You go to any of like the top schools, you're gonna have a really good network.
Right.
But I will always say, you don't need to go to like a great school to succeed.
That's for sure.
People drop out of high school, people drop out of college, people drop out of all these different things. To succeed and accomplish your goals, you don't need to go to school. If you want to become a doctor, you got to go to school. But depending on your goals, you might not need to go to it. There's still a lot of value in going to school. Me, who knows if I'm gonna go back, but we'll see.
So in your launch, in your launch post, LinkedIn post, actually, you wrote that quote unquote the real work started after the initial excitement. What did the real work mean here when people actually started showing up?
I don't even remember saying that, but the real work. Oh, I know. So the real work is like you can reach. Let's say y'all play sports.
Soccer. Football. What? Wait, how's it called? Soccer, yeah. Sorry.
So you could play, let's say in this World Cup, right? Whoever wins the World Cup, they're going to be excited. They're going to be partying. They're going to do all these different things, right? Because they just won. They just achieved this milestone.
Yeah.
You still got work to do, though. You still got another World Cup coming next
4
year.
years, yeah.
Oh, not next year. But
4 years.
What I say?
Yeah.
4 years. You still got another.
This guy doesn't even watch.
Don't even watch the World Cup for real. But nonetheless, like you still got another World Cup coming in the next 4 years, right? Olympic athletes, they still got another Olympics coming up soon, right? They still always got work to do. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yes, it's great. Yes, it's exciting to achieve this milestone to launch. But launching is like, it's such a minuscule event in this long history of a career or of a company that a launch is almost just like, who really cares? You got so much more to think about. You got so many more milestones to hit. You got so many more highs to achieve. You got so many more things to accomplish, right? Kobe, man, there was like interview. It's like a popular interview. He was like, you're up, you're up 3-1 or you're up something in the finals. Like, job's not finished. Job's not finished, bro. You still got stuff to do. And even when job gets finished and you win the finals, you got next season to prepare for.
You gotta get the shit done.
You got to get that done, bro.
Yeah. Oh man. So you also mentioned that there's a longer vision for yourself beyond just an AI 3D tool for Nalana, right?
Yeah.
What part of the vision do you feel like people still hasn't see clearly yet?
I think I haven't even communicated the long-term vision. So I think the vision is just a fundamental shift in how we create, right? Because something like a cursor fundamentally changed how people create products and what products people create and how many people who creates X, Y, and Z. Sold to Tesla, or not Tesla, SpaceX, right? So it just fundamentally changes. I honestly think like San Francisco is kind of like its bubble, but it changes San Francisco too, right? Nalana changes how things are created, right? How people interact with their softwares, right? Because the thing is with like a 3D software, especially like Nalana, you can do a lot of 2D stuff in there too. Like I've done a lot of 2D, like almost After Effects type of videos within Blender. And the fact that you can do that, and you could also create physical products, there's so much you can do. And then even not just what you can create and how it's created, but the human process of doing so. Like I said, whether you're talking about it and then it's creating as you're speaking, or you're gesturing as well, I want this like 2x bigger, or actually no, place it over there. And then you have this aligning with things like new technologies, right? I'm not actually designing it for the new technologies that are coming out, like Meta Ray-Bans, or Google just partnered with Gentle Mantra a few years ago. But as technology improves, you have the things like AR glasses, which could fundamentally change how people even interact with software in general. So then that also changes how people create in 3D as well. You already have things like Gravity Sketch, which has like the Meta Quest headset that you can create different things in. So that's almost like a step in the right direction, I would think. But that hasn't fundamentally changed how people create for its own reasons. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is with Nalana is like the vision is I think one of the great things about a vision that's kind of ambiguous is that there's so much that can come out of it.
Right.
Because if you're like, it's great to be dead set on a specific outcome, because then you will achieve that outcome. But if you're dead set on like just a state, there's so many different areas and ways in which you could still grow and even blow past that or whatever that initial outcome would be and still achieve that state.
Right, totally. There's also a bonus question about your state, about your emotional state. I mean, being a founder is so freaking tough, and you constantly have to deal with a lot of uncertainty and shit stuff.
Yeah.
How do you stay emotionally steady throughout uncertainty?
I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of breath work. I think I have to recenter myself with the fact that I have a specific vision, I have a specific outcome. I don't know if a lot of people share that outcome, or rather vision. And it is hard though. Like, not even just being a founder, but it is hard to have like very big ambitions at times, because it's almost like a process of you having to consistently keep yourself in a mindset to achieve that vision, even when it's not in there in that moment. And you can see things like, let's even say like Kanye, for example, right? Because you could see any of the Genius documentary, and he's been talking about, wants to be the biggest in the world of music, he wants to go fashion, wants to go all these different areas. And if you look back in like time, there's so many different areas and interviews or conversation and everything like that of him talking about the problems in doing so. But that's all stemming from having an ambition that is far bigger than where he is currently. And you hear the things like, him saying he's a god, or him saying he can do anything. It's like, you gotta say these things to keep yourself focused on your goals, because there's so many things in this world that's not even just like you gotta deal with uncertainty. You have to deal with, your social life, right? You're working a lot, and then you might have to, have to put some extra effort on like friendships and everything, because it's like you're choosing work over this, or you're choosing your ideas. There's a lot of trade-offs with it, but to still stay focused on this, you almost gotta have your own practice or your own way of staying aligned with your goals. Because I don't think I expanded on that point, but there's so many different things that even subtly, even explicitly, can steer you away from that. And the example I'll give is even something as simple as Instagram. Right? You could be scrolling on Instagram and somebody could talk about how they don't know if they're going to achieve their goals, right? Just hearing that alone is like, that's okay for them. I cannot think that way, and I will not think that way, because I will achieve my goals, and I have to achieve my goals, because that's just me. But that's just like an example of the different ways you got to keep yourself like focused and keep your almost like tunnel vision. I think tunnel vision has its own problems, but like in some cases you got to achieve whatever you want to achieve.
You just gotta brainwash yourself every day.
You literally have to. Like, there's this one dude named Bob Proctor. He's like the old white dude. I don't even know if he's still alive, but I would keep it a buck. Like, he might be. Hopefully he is. If he's not, then prayers. But he used to make like a lot of videos and stuff about like self-belief, self-improvement, everything like that, and changing your paradigm of how you operate as a person. And I think even looking into stuff like that, about like the power of like your words and what you say to yourself and how you talk to other people, that all goes into achieving what you want and achieving your life goals and everything like that. And you'd be surprised, like, there's so many people at these such high level positions who think like that. And I brought up Kanye, but then there's also other fashion designers, there's also other founders, there's also other just people in general who think that way. Then it's like you kind of have to achieve these goals that you want to.
Yeah. Any last minute words or tips that you can give to our student founders who are feeling uncertain or early out there?
Uncertainty is okay, right? I think nothing in life is certain, actually.
Only the death is certain at the end of life.
I don't think I'm gonna die.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I'm gonna say that. I don't think I'm gonna die. But regardless, like, you don't know how tomorrow will go.
No one knows that.
You don't know how the next day will go. So the earlier to get comfortable with that uncertainty and still make great decisions based off of that, the easier that it'll be, because something will always be uncertain, right? But also trust that everything will work out. I think that's the biggest thing, actually, more than just get comfortable with uncertainty. Trust that everything will work out, because what I did for like 3 or 4 years straight, I probably journaled every night before I went to bed. I think I missed maybe like 20 nights over that 4-year stretch. But even looking back on those journal entries and just talking about my day, talking about my experience in that, you read it back and then realize, literally it gave me physical evidence of everything working out. So it was like, regardless of how I felt in that moment and how I feel now, I can look back on this 2 months, even a year, 5 years. Don't none of that matter, bro. Like, yes, I didn't know what was going on. Yes, I was feeling what I was feeling. Yes, the experience that I was having was real. Look, 5 years later, everything works out. And everything continues to get better. So just trust in that.
If you have 98% of rate of getting through failure, be the 2%.
Yeah, be the 2%.
Be the 2%. Don't think about the rest.